Welcome one, welcome all to episode 171 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, April 1st, 2023. I am your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. In this episode, we're discussing the cancellation of E3, which may or may not have greater ramifications on other gaming showcases and how they are received. Xbox has announced its own showcase in conjunction with the Starfield Direct this summer. Forza Horizon's expansion has dropped to very little fanfare despite high bars of quality. As always, we hope you enjoy this show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, good sir?
I'm doing good. I got to watch the new Dungeons and Dragons movie yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. It's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home and played some Forza and got to check that out. So all in all, I gotta say it was pretty good week so far. What about you?
Okay, well, that's week's been good. I have a lot of people to thank in our words of kindness segment.
Nice.
You may already be able to tell my setup is slightly different and improving. Really excited about that. So it's good, man. It's been a really good week. I had a good evening last night. So my buddy,
Awesome.
Patreon member, but really my best friend for a long time, Kevin, drove down from Raleigh and brought me my new monitor.
Nice.
Which is incredible. Really cool. Ainsley Bowden shipped me the new PC. So I'm just going to do my words of kindness first, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
Because my heart is overflowing. Thanks to Patreon members and Ainsley Bowden's kindness and Kevin's kindness. I'm on my new monitor, which I was on a 15-inch laptop screen for the first 170 episodes of this show. And now I'm on a 27-inch monitor. I've got an actual PC, which is working already. Like I updated it to Windows 11 last night, did a whole bunch of transfers, pulls down files, quadruple the speed of my other one. I can't wait to see the render times, but sincerely, I want to thank Ainsley and Kevin and every single Patreon member because my heart is just full. Like, this is incredible. I've got a Batcave station now. I'm using the Halo Razer keyboard, which is a dream.
And the desk mat too. I saw the desk mat in there and the mouse.
And the mouse, yeah.
I remember you got a good deal on that mouse.
Yep. Yeah, I got a good deal on everything, truth be told. This is far more than I could ever have afforded on my own or whatnot. But so my heart is just overflowing with joy and appreciation for everybody that's helped make this happen. This is a really cool bright spot to a week that had some kind of sad news for us, which we'll get to in our news. But yeah, my words of kindness go to all those people. Thank you guys for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You're getting the upgrades that you deserve. You're finally putting some time into enriching your actual development for the like your studio in general and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Moments like that are fantastic. I got to, because of my patrons for Keelhauled, I got to get like a Go XLR. I got a new microphone, a new boom arm. I got a sit stand desk. Thanks to them, having support and being able to make content. Like, making content's already pretty hard, but it's much better when you can do little things like this to upgrade your life.
Agreed. So I'm ecstatic and happy for sure, without a doubt. But how about you, man? Where are your words of kindness at this week? Who you want to give a shout out to?
You know who it's funny because it surprised me this week. Like, this week I hit 220 reviews over on Keelhauled for Spotify, which is really awesome, especially when you look at like so many podcasts out there. The fact that 220 people went out and actually took the time to review it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, or rate it. But it was Strubles and Bits over on Twitter who was like, I'm a PlayStation guy, which I have no problem with. And he's like, I'm going to take time to go and review Xbox Expansion Pass. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. That's so cool to see folks that, like, they're not in our ecosystem, but they don't have to be locked to that ecosystem. It's so cool that Strubles and Bits really like made my heart all fuzzy and stuff when I read his tweet about how he's like, I'm going to go rate the Xbox Expansion Pass. He didn't mention it was going to be a 1, but you know, I the fact that he took time really took some, made me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, stuff like that matters the most, man. That's the coolest stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
it made me really happy to see you on. I think it was the last week you were on the Trophy Room PlayStation podcast.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
It's already been 2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
He followed me up with Miles, which I'm like, oh man. All right.
Yeah, Miles
Well,
Down Pierre. Good
yeah.
people. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
no fair. No fair. But that's cool, man. So that's awesome. I hope Strubles and Bits it continues to enjoy XEP, because while we cover Xbox, we like to game everywhere. I think you can maybe you can tell with my new lighting. I don't know, like my PS5 it's right there.
Oh
The
yeah.
PlayStation thing right
Yeah,
there.
look at that hiding
You
behind
can see.
the TV because it's so damn big.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. But you can see Mjolnir and Kratos and my statues of them. And then if I turn this way, Master Chief and all of that,
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's awesome, man.
That's
Well, shout out
awesome.
to Strubles. That's what's up. That's what's
I
up.
appreciate it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Logan, before we get to our news, which is somewhat sad but also expected in terms of E3, I think we should do our Patreon shout outs this week. Now, we don't have any new patrons, but our tier 2 and 3 shout outs ring in big every week. Is it my turn or your turn?
It's
To
your
read
turn.
them?
You get to do it this week.
Okay. So
I
I've
had to do it
started
last
this.
week.
If you go back and look, sometimes I forget to start it, but I like to try and like say the names with you. If any of our
Yeah, I
visual
noticed
listeners,
that.
okay, all right. So that's my favorite thing to do when you read it now, is to like try and be you, like to mouth it. So see if you can't mimic me when I do it.
Okay.
These are our Patreon members right now for tier 2 and 3 shoutouts. Thank you for helping XEP get better, helping me upgrade my tech, helping us get potentially to an Xbox FanFest or a convention of some kind this summer, because E3 is no longer. But let us give shoutouts now to Jam Pack Sam, Matt Valdez, Rick Davis, Jesse Martinez, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, Matt Without Fear, Neo Prime 33, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing, Mr. Kevin Butler, Clint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Mr. Dano12. Thank you for being Patreon members, and we hope you're enjoying all of your Patreon member exclusives at tier 2 and 3, including the Xbox Creator Talk for tier 2 and 3 members and the Xbox Wrap Up for Patreon tier 3 members.
Hey,
How'd I do?
You did good. You did really well.
Nailed that.
By the way, if you guys are listening to this and you haven't considered supporting, I just want to throw it out there because Luke always forgets to mention where you can actually go. So head over to patreon.com/Xbox expansion pass. Check out the tiers, see if there's something that might fit into your kind of budget. And if you want to give support, we always appreciate it. If not, just pass it on to another person. Heck, maybe even rate it over on Spotify or Apple TV. That always helps out with the algorithm. We're trying to grow. We deserve to grow. We deserve to get Xbox's attention, because if we do, that means better content for you.
True that. And I will say, there's a lot of bang for your buck in the tier 1, where you get the Discord invite, because our Discord is popping. I love our Discord people.
Oh, yeah.
Ellery, they make my heart sing every week with all types of little things. They broke their Xbox, but then repaired it.
I know. That's cool.
Took us on that journey, which was cool. And there's always this is much to my chagrin, disappointing discussions of double downs. Oh, God, it's the worst. That part's the worst, but I love it, man. Discord has been a highlight of my year. I'm so glad you convinced me to do it, because it's dope.
Yeah, we've got some fun people in there. The conversation around the double downs is so insane this year.
And Clint Coombs, he went to Galaxy's Edge and built a lightsaber. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, he put that in there. That was really cool.
I saw a bunch of people making lightsabers this week, so I don't know what was going on. I think it was just people going to award ceremonies and stuff. But yeah, I saw a whole bunch of people making lightsabers, and I was like, man, what is this the week to make lightsabers? I don't know why. It seems like next month.
It's the best, dude. Well, yeah, May you would think. But I will tell you what, making a lightsaber was a special experience at Galaxy's Edge. I've done it once. I would love to do it again at some point, because it was just, it was weirdly, it was like a spiritual event. I loved it. It was so cool. I was like, yes, I'm here
The
for it.
dude making $17 an hour sitting there. It's like, retrieve your lightsaber from the table. And you're like,
It was
it's
great.
magic.
It was great. It's just exactly what happened. And it was awesome.
So
but then I would side eye anybody that had a red one. I'd be like,
yeah, of course. You're gonna be like, oh, I see. You're one of those people. Too cool for school.
Yep.
What color did you go with? Did you go with green? I assume
green.
You probably.
So, real talk. I wanted blue the whole time.
Yeah.
And because I'm such a nerd, I was like, no, my heart's gonna guide me when it's time to make the choice. And like I thought, like if you read the books, like there's a process to building a lightsaber, and it is you're one with the Force as you do it and whatnot. And I tried to. I'm so embarrassed right now. I tried to let the Force guide me as I built it, and it was dope. I had so much fun, but I ended up with green. It was like green is what it was, and when it ignited, I was like, I made the right choice.
I can totally see you like standing there, like looking at the two different crystals and being like, honey, what do I do? She's like, just go with the one that you think is really fun. And you're like, okay. What do I do?
My wife she was there. She stood back and watched and filmed and such. And it was cool. Like after the fact, she's like, that was actually really fun to watch you go through that. I was like, really? Because like I'm an adult man, whatever. She's like, no, I've never seen you this happy. And we're married.
Shout out to wives.
Like,
shout out to wives, man.
Yep.
Speaking of, I gotta say, like we're gonna be jumping into E3 and stuff and some news in here, but the pictures that you posted and the roast you got from Joe was so appropriate. I want to see if you could take a couple minutes just to tell people about what the heck that roast was about, because it was so good.
It was good. But it was like on my end, it wasn't a roast. It was like, no, it's cool. So context here: E3 has been canceled for 2023. E3 has been officially canceled by ReedPop, and that's made all the news. That's what a lot of our topics are about this week. But in 2019, Sean Capri and I, for the Xbox Drive, we were sent by Xbox Canada, because Sean is Canadian, to E3 2019. And we got to go to Xbox FanFest, which was incredible. And I, without a joke, I think the part where I misspoke, I said this is the single greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't joking. Like standing on that stage, that picture, like it meant that it was the best trip of my life, and it was the best day of my life. And I'm not joking or exaggerating. I felt accomplished. I felt like I'd grown into a role. Like, we all go through bad phases, and it was the culmination of a rise. And I had such a good time. Gaming means a lot to me, and so it felt amazing to be there. And Joe, Mr. Badbit, if you don't know, over on Twitter, we game with him every day. He hosts the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. He's like, my brother in Christ, you're married. Like roast me, like, you're married. How can that be the best moment of your life? And I should have said the best day. It was so funny to read. You can't even
say the best day, because wasn't that your wedding day?
No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And like my wife knows this. I did not enjoy our wedding at all. I was anxious.
That's like sad.
If that stuff's, I don't know. I was nervous, was stressed. There was a person there that wouldn't leave me alone and wouldn't stop talking to me. Then I was just like, all right.
You mean your wife?
Nope, not her. She was great. My wife, she likes to joke and say that her wedding was great, whereas mine was all stressful and whatnot.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I thought it was a pretty good roast. But
hey, kids, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. There's this thing called eloping. What it means is it's not a bad thing. It just means you get married the way you want to get married, and you actually go and have fun. So go elope. Don't plan a big wedding, because that's not fun. Go elope. Because I went to Vegas and I watched Cirque du Soleil shows, and my wife and I had a small little chapel with some close friends, and then we spent the rest of the weekend having fun. So do that.
Yeah, do that for sure. But yeah, so it was a funny joke.
It was really good. It was nice to see the camaraderie between friends. But yeah. And small shout out to EA or E3, not EA. Thank you for finally getting back to me. I got my rejection letter from E3 letting me know that unfortunately, if I had made plans, even though they hadn't given me a badge, they would not be having E3. Therefore, I would not be able to get my badge.
So let's talk full on version of this story, and then I'll explain to you. Because I know exactly what happened with your badge.
Okay.
Because I checked into it. All right. So news comes from a report from IGN, and then was later confirmed by the organizers, ReedPop. Let's see, Kyle Marsden Kish. Marsden Kish, Global VP of Gaming at ReedPop, and for the record, ReedPop handles PAX and a number of other gaming events. They say, quote, this was a difficult decision because of all the effort we and our partners put towards making this event happen, but we had to do what's right for the industry and what's right for E3. We appreciate and understand the interested companies wouldn't have playable demos ready, and that resourcing challenges being at E3 this summer an obstacle they couldn't overcome. For those who did commit to E3 2023, we're sorry we couldn't put on the showcase that you deserve and that you've come to expect from ReedPop's event experiences. End quote. This is sad news, I think, in a lot of ways, because E3 is very special to a lot of people. Like I said, I had a great time in 2019, but I wasn't at E3. I mean, I did go to E3, but like I had more fun at FanFest, which is, when I say E3, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I want and think of all the other events. I think of all the other things happening around that time, all the other showcases. And to me, Xbox Fan Fest means a lot. But nonetheless, I was sad to see that ReedPop had to come out and make this statement. It sounds like with Summer Game Fest competitions, with companies like in this past week, Ubisoft, one of the largest publishers that was confirmed to go, they backed out. And then Sega and Tencent both backed out as well. We already knew that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo would not be at this event. And you have Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley's consistently well-organized and improving event. Like all of Keighley's stuff continues to improve year after year, no matter what he's involved with. That's happening on June 8th. So I think writing was on the wall for this one, Logan, and it's a bummer, but it's done. You know, it's just done.
Yeah, shout out to IGN for pushing for poking the bear on this one, because we've kind of been sitting around waiting to find out like what's going on. Like we had a E3 war room set up where we were talking about like where we were going to stay, you know, when we were going to reserve things like travel, stuff like that.
Right.
We were working that stuff out. And it started to stall out once we found out that Ubisoft was pulling out. And it was like, okay, so the war room is now changed to the ruckus room. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a war room anymore. And then, you know, IGN just kept putting out reports and hinting that they had heard after they'd been questioned over at GDC by multiple devs who were like, hey, do you guys know if E3 is going to happen? Because we don't. And it's just a real bummer, man, to find out that even the bigger third-party publishers are pulling out. Like it happened a long time ago, but you know, Blizzard and Activision had removed themselves from E3 for the sake of like a BlizzCon and stuff, which was their own convention. And then once COVID hit, they stopped doing their full convention, so that's one that's dead, and that was a profitable show for them. You know, we used to have the Bethesda showcase that kind of went alongside E3 as well, but after the acquisition from Microsoft, that's now just kind of lumped in with Xbox's stuff. So that's one. And really, not to kind of wax poetic here, I'm not trying to be like overly sentimental, but I remember E3 being a very special thing for me as a kid, because it was the beginning of the summer vacation, and it was when we started getting magazines about all the cool stuff we were going to see, like all the awesome games, you know, and those magazines would come out. There'd be a little bit of coverage beforehand, but typically like the June or July issue would be all the cool news that we got from E3. It was always a big deal. And I went into 3D graphics and animation and stuff, thinking like, hey, I want to go work for Nintendo one day. Like, I want to go do games at E3. Like, that's what it is. And now that I'm grown up, now that I have more hindsight and I have more visibility, and I've talked to devs, devs don't really like E3 to an extent because it means crunch. And it usually means they got to get their demos ready. And if they don't have their demos ready, then they're in trouble, because not only do they have to decide, okay, well, what do we show, or how do we show this, or if we're going to have a playable demo, or if it's just going to be a video, but then they have to go out and try and explain to people who have expectations about why it is it's in the state that it's in. And then they have to deal with the news pundits that are constantly tearing apart the fact that they didn't have a playable demo, or the playable demo had bugs, or didn't have a good showing. And it's like creating yourself out for a forced, like kind of Miss America kind of competition. Like, it's a competition at the end of the day instead of a celebration, because that's what the news pundits are going to be like. Oh, who won E3? Was it Microsoft's presentation win E3? And that's always the conversation that happens. And it just feels like it sucked the joy out of what E3 used to be, which was, we're happy just to kind of celebrate games and show off what's coming. And the press is going to take this all back, simmer on it for a while, write up some articles for their next magazine, and then get some screen footage and stuff for it. And then we would get to talk about the cool stuff. We would filter down. Now it's so accessible. Everyone's opinion has a way to weigh in on cool or not cool kind of stuff. And I don't know that we'll ever get that again. And I think that this is probably this was the death knell. If it couldn't make it back after this, after everyone else has returned to being able to do like in-person events, especially with ReedPop doing it, if E3 can't make it back, if they can't get the support of the studios and the publishers and stuff, like, I think that's it for E3.
I think that's it for E3 as well. Now, I don't have that strong affinity that says we desperately need E3. We desperately need something as an industry, and I think Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest continues to evolve, much like the Game Awards, and continues to mean something special, because we need tentpole moments in gaming.
Yeah.
They're important because they bring in new gamers, they bring in new developers, they inspire people. And in general, it brings eyes to an otherwise niche platform. And I don't mean gaming itself is niche. I mean, it doesn't hit headlines for casuals, right? We often talk about how in the podcasting space, we talk about certain problems, dilemmas, concerns, and in the big picture, nobody's really got that same concern. And E3 was kind of an equalizer in that, and then it brought certain things to the forefront. And so I appreciated it for that. But I think Summer Game Fest is going to do that just fine. I think for the niche elements, Xbox has a showcase now. We have confirmed that that's on the 11th, prior to, or more likely in conjunction with, Starfield. It's probably going to be a handshake, pass the baton type thing, because they let Bethesda do their own marketing. I'm not sure if that's if people know that or don't, but like, there's Xbox proper, then there's Bethesda, which is now a branch of Xbox, and Bethesda handles their own PR, their own marketing in a lot of ways, and they've got their own showcase that they want to do, and that's fine. They've been doing E3 showcases for years. Rock on, enjoy it. I'm anxious to see Starfield. I'm also glad we have confirmation that Xbox is doing something specific on this day that's not just Starfield. Fingers crossed there's a FanFest. Fingers crossed twice over that what would have been our E3 trip could be a FanFest trip. I don't know if that's something you're interested in doing, but to me, that's what I really want to do, is go and be a part of that once more, because it was so special to me the first time. But if not, then like everybody, we'll be covering it from here and enjoying it. But I think it's important for listeners to know that ReedPop worked extremely hard, and there was a lot of things working against them, partially the success of Keighley's endeavors at Summer Game Fest. Cool, rock on. But also Stride PR worked pretty hard too, and there were some other elements. The ESA is very backwards. ESA is very
It
wrong
feels
in
like
their approach.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to make this into a bigger thing than it needs to be because of the lineage of E3. And it feels like they're getting to the point where they're getting gun shy about what could E3 be if it's not as big as it was. And it just seems like, honestly, like if you can't convince the big three to come back to your show, then that was the thing that was the real big killer. But at the same time, listening to people and talk about like the costs of E3, like
absurd.
I honestly don't blame them. It's so much cheaper just to do something on your own.
It's gaming is an evolve or die industry, evolve or die. And we've seen plenty of things in and around gaming evolve and die. Right now, I mean, magazines are gone. The main media outlets, IGN, VGC, GameSpot, whatnot, are less important than they've ever been, despite me loving them. Don't misunderstand me. But in lieu of content creators, mega content creators, I don't mean XEP, Trophy Room. I mean, yes, I think that it shows like this and others, kind of in their stealth, are on the rise for people's interest in gaming news and discussions. And the main go-to place, those are subsiding a little bit. But we as like this style will pave way or evolve or die for something else that's going on. Jam Pack Sam shut down Exhibition, and Xbox podcast, great show that he did. He shut that down in favor of smaller, more bite-sized bits of information, and they're fantastic. They're well produced, they're quick, they're great ways to get information. Like, that might be the next way. And if the distribution of gaming content continues to demand changes, then so too do showcases and events. And that, I think, is the problem. ESA is stuck. It's got to be this old style way. Well, no. Summer Game Fest, for its part, they have a digital show floor essentially where, all right, there's Summer Game Fest, and here are all these demos you can play right now. Doesn't matter who you are. You don't need a badge. Go play it. Make your impressions. Make your videos. Cool. Like, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the thing that people are forgetting when they are championing E3 to come back. It's like, well, does it deserve to? And I'm sad, by the way, because I was excited. I'd gotten a media badge. You were going to get a media badge. But the news of no came right when, like, you fell right. Just for the record, that's what happened. Because they cleared XEP, and then it was like, oh, and then they couldn't tell me, right? They didn't tell anybody. It's like, what was going on? But that's essentially what happened, Logan, which sucks. But if there is a fan fest or whatnot, Summer Game Fest, like, do we chart on there? I don't know. But I was really excited to go to LA for that reason, handshake some people and whatnot. But
yeah. That was something that I saw a lot of this week, and it was people talking about how they got into the industry because of the connections that they made at E3. And that is it's a huge bummer, because I know what my worth is, but I haven't convinced anyone yet to offer what I'm getting now for a job in the industry. And that's tough, because I have to put my family before I put my dreams. And
is that your goal? I didn't know that.
Yeah. In fact, there's been a couple jobs where I've been close but can't quite get there. And a lot of it is just because with the current job that I have now, disclosure, I work for Cox Automotive, who's a subsidiary of them, but the pay and the benefits and the work environment are so good with my company right now that it would be a tremendous step down, a like lifestyle changing step down to try and get into the industry. But I've been trying to get into the industry for a few years now, and a couple of friends have gotten me really close. And if I was single and didn't have, anyone else to worry about, I would 100% sacrifice other things like healthcare, things like that, to be able to get into the industry. But at the moment, I'm too dependent on the benefits that I have to be able to give those up. But that being said, the E3 to me has always been about like celebrating games and making connections. It's one of the things that I loved about Sea of Thieves Fest last year. It's why I'm going back this year. So I hope that maybe like larger publishers can take a look at PAX, because PAX feels like what E3 used to be, but just a little more geared towards being a fan fest as opposed to an industry standard. And I'm hoping that maybe, like, I know Summer Games Fest is kind of like Keeley's version of E3. I think he's got a different idea on what that should be. I think that's going to be more like what the Game Awards is, but for like a 6-month cycle. I think that PAX is really where we should put our faith in when it comes to being able to celebrate games the way E3 was the celebration of games for, younger or for older generations.
Right. That's a fair, I mean, it all makes good sense. And you say FanFest, Sea of Thieves Fest, like those are the events that I think are more in my interest categories anyway, because that's where I get to meet and rump elbows with people that I want to interact with. For you, it might be a little bit different,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, it was oddly enough, Jam-Pack Sam, I mentioned him. He had written in what E3 meant, asking us what E3 meant to us, and I think we've pretty much answered that one. But in short, I'm still looking forward to the summer. Looking forward to watching Summer Game Fest coverage, Xbox's event, and the Starfield event on June 11th.
I'm excited for the Starfield. The fact that they announced that we were going to get a separate Starfield Direct, that's huge, dude. Like that is like the faith that they have in Starfield to break it out of the Xbox showcase. Like, man, I can't wait for that. That's I hope we get a lot of content for that.
It'll be interesting to watch whether or not it was the right thing to do to split them, like or to split them and have them on the same day. Is that the right thing to do, or is it tied to develop like a showcase event, like where they bring in media and say, "Hey, go play. We want you to have coverage out."
As long as they're not like overlapping, I think it'd be just fine because it's just going to be like an even larger celebration of Xbox, right? Like it'll kick off with Starfield.
But will Starfield take away spotlight on other things? Surely, yes. So are things going to get drowned out? I mean, what Forza Rally Adventure came out yesterday? Ain't nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's talking about it? Yeah, there's some reviews. I pulled some reviews.
We will be.
Yeah, we will. But my point is, I wonder if they're going to overlap themselves. It's a thing to watch, a thing to note.
It's so definitely, well, like, because there's always going to be, like, I definitely think that if they had maybe done it a few days earlier, it might have given a little more room for writers to be able to talk about, because there's going to be a lot of people writing up articles and stuff and doing videos and stuff like that. But I think if they'd done it a couple days earlier, like maybe on the 9th or the 10th, somewhere between Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase, then it probably would have been a little bit better. But it's tough because if you put Starfield into the Xbox Showcase, well, then everyone's just going to be talking about the Starfield Showcase. But if you break it up and you split it up by a couple hours, then that should at least give people some time to kind of like get their thoughts and whatnot, their reaction videos out for that. And then whatever happens, like if Starfield isn't in the Microsoft Xbox Showcase, what the heck is going to be in the Xbox Showcase?
What is in the Showcase? Yeah. You got to think Halo Season 4 is going to be in there. Something Sea of Thieves is going to be in there. Grounded will be in there.
Yeah.
Redfall Content Update 1 will be in there.
Really? That's okay.
Like a look ahead kind of thing, right?
Fair.
Like within 6 months, this is coming to Redfall, Sea of Thieves, Halo. Like you're going to get your updates for that. You'll get some Forza Motorsport.
See, yeah, I banked on Motorsport. I banked on Sea of Thieves and Halo. We still don't know what Coalition's doing, but we've still got Fable, Perfect Dark, Avowed, Everwild, State of Decay 3. I feel like I'm missing a couple in there. We still got all those that we need like info on, like how those projects going. Like any of those getting close? I doubt it, but
I doubt it.
It was like,
Hellblade 2, maybe.
Hellblade 2, yeah, that's a good one. That's a strong one.
It'll be, it's all like, all right, so we saw that really good Unreal demo. Like that was a really impressive demo for Hellblade 2. Does that tell you it's closer or further? Because it was that far ahead. Really?
No,
okay.
No, because you can do that kind of footage and hold on to it, and then you start running up the marketing beat, and the marketing beat for most games, I would say, is you've got like a 12-month, 6-month, and a 3-month with a strong 3-month blast, and I would say like if they're doing GDC stuff, that GDC stuff is kind of like separate from everything else, and that's just like, hey, this is what we were doing in Unreal demo, kind of like Coalition is like, hey, we're not actually working on a game, we're playing around with Unreal Engine 5 and stuff like that. So I think that like we've seen the 12-month. I think we're getting closer to that release date, but I think that's still kind of like a ways out, but I would not be surprised if it comes out sometime between the Xbox showcase and 2024's Xbox showcase, if that makes sense.
Okay, so Edward Varnell from Boss Rush Network and Nintendo Power Block podcast, he wrote in over on Twitter and he said, do you think we get some collection pack of games this summer? Can you imagine a Forza Horizon collection?
Ooh,
I don't think you get a Forza
really
Horizon because that's a licensing problem, right?
That would be because I mean you can still buy Forza 4 or Forza Horizon 4. You can still buy a lot of those Forza games. I think
I got delisted. Like 1 through 3 are definitely delisted.
Yes, those are.
But like, what kind of like, dude, 4? I don't. Is 4 still?
I'm pretty sure you can still buy 4.
Probably still play 4 because you still got Xbox Ones out there. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know that you see a Forza Horizon collection because of licensing problems. But maybe to counter that down the line, I don't think this is happening, but like down the line, you could bring back those areas and just drop your Forza Horizon 5 cars in there.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
If the tech allows that. Sounds like a complicated thing to do, but like maybe like you bring in the boards and the whatnot and you just let your cars go.
Yeah.
The Gears collection has been oft rumored. That's a lot of people mention and discuss that. It does that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I know that was a thing on the table. I know that was something someone worked on at some point. I don't know that it got far. I don't know what that means. I don't know any of that, but I know that it was real at one point, but early, right? Like, and if you're going to do it, it better be Master Chief Collection now quality, right? Because Master Chief Collection now is amazing. It better be up there.
Do you want Gears? Like, okay, if you could choose between having well, see, you're already saying like a Master Chief Collection, which would kill the Marcus Phoenix question. So do you want like a Gears Master Chief Collection, or would you rather have them go back and remake 1 in Unreal Engine 5? If you could choose.
I want all in Unreal Engine 5.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like,
do you want a remake or do you want a collection?
Yeah. Like, which would you rather have? Because personally, for me, honestly, like I already have access to all of them. I got all of them on Game Pass. I don't need to have a collection. It's not going to do anything for me. But if you put 1 on Unreal Engine 5, that's going to get me a little excited.
Mutual, make it move, huh? So tough question because right now I'm playing through Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And I have everything positive to say about it.
You liked your Dead Space remake?
Loved that. And what did we talk about? Like, was it last week? Like, yeah, if you remake the best games and you make them better, of course they're going to be great. Like, duh. Yeah. So that's a good question. A remaster collection or a full remake? I think remaster collection is first. Game preservation does a lot. I don't know that the Gears collection needs it the way Halo did, but I do think having a hub with the games in there would be smart. And they did experiment with this. That might have been what it was that I heard they were working on, because if you remember when Gears 4 came out, this came at the very kind of early midway point of Xbox One, and right at the beginning of the back compat program. Buy Gears of War 4, get Gears 1 through 3 and Judgment digitally forever. That was a thing they did. They pushed it. Get them all back compat. And so everybody, but this is pre-Game Pass, everybody was like, well, absolutely. And that really helped sales of Gears 4 because you're like, I get all the old Gears games as well. So that is to its credit. Like they did try to do something. I wouldn't mind a hub where like it's a Gears hub and it's got everything in there. Maybe it's got some up-res stuff, but they already did a lot of enhanced for X type things. Whereas with Halo, you needed to remake 1 and 2 to make them a better experience because they were on original Xbox tech. And then, by Halo 4, you're not doing much to change that game. So it slots right into Master Chief Collection comfortably. 4 and Reach. Go ahead.
I gotta say, like, first off, put 5 in the collection and release 5 on PC. What are you doing?
For Halo?
Yeah. I have a friend that he plays Halo, loves Halo. He's completed the augmented lasso like 4 times, which is like the harder version of lasso, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's completed Halo 2 lasso. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let you know right now, he doesn't know what the heck happens in 5 because it's not on PC. So they need to update that. Sorry, small rant. Go back. Sorry, I didn't mean to just derail you on that one.
No, you're not derailing me at all. As far as a remake, I don't think Gears moves needles for a remake. What I'd rather see is Gears 6 reinvented in an Unreal Engine 5 first. So
Gears 6
there is
or Gears
6.
Okay.
I'd rather see a Gears 6 Unreal Engine 5 evolve the franchise a little bit before I get a 1 remake. That's what I would rather have. So I'd rather have a collection and then Gears 6 before I get 1 remade. Because I think they hold up really well. The Gears games, for better or worse, they hold up extremely well. They don't evolve, but so much. Like, you can play 1 through 5 and have a blast. And like, I really think, Logan, you're missing out by not having played 4 and 5. They're really good. They're really good. There's some strange directional choices, but they're not bad. They're not bad at all.
I intend to. It's honestly having someone to sit down and play them would probably make me actually sit down and play them. But I haven't. I need to have someone like set aside the time because I usually fall back into that like, oh, let's go play Sea of Thieves, let's go play Destiny, let's go play Heroes of the Storm because that's my comfort food. But
I'll say this to XEP listeners: if you're in the Discord and you want to play Gears and you guys want to do a co-op run, I'm in. We should set aside a time and just rock some co-op because that'd be fun. Those are good games. They hold up real well, easy to play. I would say let's do it. Like that would be a blast.
That works for me.
Yeah.
That was a good question, though.
It was a good question. And it's one that's like ongoing, right? Like maybe I'll change my mind next week. So. All right. Just a quick mention. The Japanese FTC equivalent has said that they are in favor of the Activision Blizzard King acquisition by Microsoft. Essentially, they don't think it would harm competition. That's European Commission, Japan and Brazil are all in favor. Seems like it's a go. Just waiting on USA.
Didn't we have India as well? Didn't India put out? I thought they did.
If they did, it went so far under my radar, I didn't catch it.
It was like Brazil, and then right after Brazil was like India, and they were both like, "Oh yeah, no, this is cool." And then it went to the EU Commission, and everyone was like, "Hold up, slow down, hold up. Everyone's moving just a little too quickly here. We got to like do some inspection."
Right.
But yeah,
I remember that.
Glad that it's moving forward. There's a lot of money that's going to be having to be handed over if it goes over its time.
Agreed. And thank you, Clint Combs, for dropping that into our show suggestions over on Patreon, bud. Logan, I've been playing SiFu. SiFu came out on Xbox. They sent me a code for context. Nice. I started up this morning, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. And I did not play it when it was on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I started it, and I'd heard all these horror stories about it being too hard, too difficult, really tough. And immediately, it gives you an option. You can start in student, basically easy, medium, hard, right? Student is easy. I clicked on that, started playing. It's very approachable. I'm having an absolute blast. As a tired martial artist myself, like somebody I love martial arts, I studied it for a long time. It captures a lot of that. The moves are real. The techniques are very real. They're like, you got to be real good to do a lot of them, but like they're real techniques. It's very functional stuff. It's really neat and fun to watch. The mechanics are incredible. I would hesitate to call it a review because I've not played it enough to give any listener a review. And that's not really what we do on XEP. We give more impressions usually.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying SiFu a lot. I'm really glad it's out now on Xbox. And I'm having an absolute blast with it. So if you have a passive interest in martial arts, if you enjoy the combat in the Arkham games, then you're in. Like, this is it. So I've heard some people say that like on the harder styles, it can get a little soulsy and that you got to like parry and block and dodge and stuff. And so I could see that happening. That was not my experience because I put it on student.
Yeah.
Because baby mode is baby mode for me, and that's what I like. But I really recommend
whatever
it.
gets you in. If it gets you into the game, then who cares?
Yeah, find the fun, play the way you want to play. That continues to be my motto, and I'm really enjoying SiFu. It is an easy recommend for me to anybody that's got a passive interest in either Arkham style combat or martial arts. It's fun. I cannot stress that enough. So I'm anxious to jump off to play more of it, which is atypical of me.
Yeah.
So I'm really ready to go play more of it. I really like SiFu, for sure.
How does this compare to Hi-Fi Rush?
I find SiFu easier because to me it's easier to understand. Like, I understand that I'm going to hit and block and punch. I understand like what this move does or what you're supposed to do here. Or, I get that. Whereas in Hi-Fi Rush, it's like, all right, metal arm, rhythm, timing, it's a little bit different. So I would not necessarily compare them very much in terms of gameplay, but they're both really pretty to look at, but different quality. Like, this is an indie team clearly that's crushing it.
Yeah.
I I'm really happy with it. I think it's $25 new right now, and easy to me is like, I can recommend that. Yeah, you can buy that game. Like,
Yeah.
so feel free, of course, to go check out the reviewers for people that you're interested in, guys. But for me, SiFu is that's a win. I'm in there. If I paused Resident Evil 4 and I'm anxious to go play more SiFu, that says a lot because Resident Evil 4 is freaking amazing. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
I was always curious with SiFu. It always looks really cool, but I don't know that it's the game that I feel like I need to play to really experience it. I feel like I can get a grasp of whether or not I'd probably enjoy it. And it definitely, it reminds me a lot of like those old Double Dragon games where you're just kind of pushing forward and punching enemies until you get to the end. The whole time mechanic where you get older, the more you die, and it's multiplies, each death. I really like that idea. I think that's a brilliant way to push through a story to give you goals, to try and get it done as young as you can. But I'm probably going.
I got real frustrated when I died, by the way, because you
Oh,
pick up
really?
weapons on the way. Yeah, like you kick up bottles, and you can grab weapons, and it can help you move through enemies easier. And I just died and went from age 20 to 21, and I was like, no, this is ridiculous. I was like upset because I was just rolling through, and then a dumb little mistake, even on easy mode. And I was like, wait a minute. But boom, 21 back into it. And I was like, I see what's going on here. This is cool.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, no, kudos to the team for doing it. I know a lot of folks were asking them to go and make a John Wick game after this. So I'd be curious to see what they decide to do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I do think there's like a nod to it because in this version you boot it up, and this is the Xbox version. It comes with like arena levels, and it's like basically probably what's happened with Ghostwire Tokyo. The game launched in one space, and then at certain point they do a content drop as well as a release on the next platform.
Yeah.
And that's clearly what's happening here. There's an arena mode, which is I think a lot of people were asking for. But there's also like you can put on a suit. Like that's one of the options is you can wear a suit. So I was like, well, I'm wearing a suit. And that's cool.
Funny. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
that was cool. I could talk about Resident Evil 4, but before I do, I want to hear about Forza because I've not had a chance to play Forza Rally Adventure, and I know you burned the midnight oil to play it. Is that right?
Oh man, yeah. I wanted to, because I knew it had come out, and I joked on Twitter that no one was talking about it, so I wanted to jump in. I booted it up the other day, and Forza Horizon Rally is essentially rally. It's what it is. You're going to be driving over different types of dirt, sand, water. You've got a helicopter kind of guiding you if you don't want the marked path, but I always go with the marked path. And the first experience, Forza Horizon does an amazing job of introducing a new expansion. Like they've got a cinematic race that they take you through. And I was so bummed out because my first experience of it, I got into that cinematic race that kind of introduces you to the whole expansion, and it hard crashed. Like it just, and it wasn't even like a hard crash. It was like game and audio froze, and I had to reset my Xbox. And I'm like, dude, I can't remember the last time I had to reset my Xbox. I think it was a Destiny update the last time I had to do this. It was a while. And it really bummed me out because I'm like, man, they kill it. It's always so polished. And for whatever reason, there's just a weird hitch that I think it overloads the GPU, and it just locks up the Xbox, and the audio and the still going. The graphics are stuck where they are, and you can't pull up the menu or anything. So I decided to give it another shot last night, and I jumped in. I played through the first races. There's 3 teams now. The 3 teams are split up based on the type of rally that you want to do. So if you want to do more like, all terrain out in the dunes, or kind of, going over dirt and stuff like that, they've got one team for that. There's another team that is just for road rally, which is just kind of like asphalt rally. And then there's another one, which is more like a technical one. So a lot more hairpin turns, things like that. And it's a bit of a competition between the 3 different teams. The third one is more like a nighttime rally. So that was in that one's a lot tougher because I think I did the last race on that one. It was raining and it was at night, and those are not fun when you're running through the dirt and you don't have that traction that you're used to. But I made it through all of those, and I picked my team, and I'm kind of working my way through the races. The game is beautiful. The game, hands down, is beautiful. It is still a ton of fun to jump in.
We'll say it's Forza Horizon 5, which was always amazing.
Yeah,
always
and that
beautiful.
hasn't changed. That's still present here. This is definitely just a rally focused thing. So if you like rally on like dirt and asphalt, then there's that. If you like rally that is just straight up in the desert running around, I think it's like Sierra Novella, I think is the place that they picked. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the environments are beautiful. They've done a great job. The cars that they bring you into were fun. I like the new rally cars. I had like a whole bunch of credits and rolls after buying the deluxe edition to burn through. So I got a bunch of new vehicles that I hadn't had before. But overall, it's really, really good. It's just not going to be something that is really exciting unless you like rally. If rally is not your thing, then you're probably not going to have. You might have maybe like the Apex Predators team is the one that kind of focuses in on like the asphalt rally. That's probably going to be your closest thing to like what you're used to running in Forza Horizon 5 proper, like the normal campaign, not the Hot Wheels stuff. But overall, like it's still really good. It's just if you're not into rally, it's not going to really like, make you want to come back.
Gotcha. Okay. What if I just want to play? What if I like Forza a lot and I'm a casual fan, which is me? Like, but I'm asking for me, but also for people like me. Like, I like Forza a lot. I'm almost done with the latest Hot Wheels thing. I jump in, play for a few days, few weeks, and then I jump back out. Is
Yeah.
this accessible enough where I can just jump in and do that same thing?
If you're in Hot Wheels, you're going to have to boot yourself out of Hot Wheels back into the main campaign, and then you're going to have to race over to where the rally start is, and then you'll be able to jump into that. So, like every time I boot up, I keep getting stuck in the Hot Wheels stuff. So I have to kind of like move myself back over to rally. But I mean, it's going to be new maps. It's going to be new races. It'll be new cars. But it's more like dune buggy type of stuff. Like you're going to be in the dirt. So if you don't like losing traction or losing to like there's lots of bumps, there's lots of jumps, and there's a lot of water. So if that annoys you when racing, then I would probably hold off. But if you like that kind of thing, if you like going crazy out there and in the wilds and whatnot, then you'll probably have a good time. But
Okay.
I still think Hot Wheels is a stronger expansion.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to hear and know. Because I'm not going to rush to it, given that I'm enjoying SiFu, given that I'm enjoying Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Maybe I just won't jump in. I still want to finish Hi-Fi Rush, which I'm working my way through. This has been a year where I'm playing a lot and not finishing as many games as I thought I would as quickly.
Yeah.
Um, so I've got a lot on my plate, but I'm not stressed by it at the moment, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a
okay
benefit
to
to that.
drop games too, people.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're pressured to finish a game.
That's a good point. I think I did this to myself with God of War Ragnarok. I
Yeah.
tried to finish it because everybody else was finishing it. I wanted to be part of the. I didn't want a spoiler. It's like, man, I need to just relax. And I started changing my behavior. Like I really like. I have Avatar: Way of Water on my Vudu account. I'm ready to watch that. Haven't
Mm-hmm.
watched it yet. I decided I wasn't going to enjoy it as much unless I was at home, relaxed, in the right state of mind. Same with a couple other movies that normally I'd be like kicking myself to go see right away. And I'm right now. I'm
Yeah,
just if I'm not feeling it. I mean, my motto is find the fun for everything right now. It just needed to be that, and so I'm taking my time with stuff, and I'm playing what I want to play.
that's
So
good.
yeah, yeah. If it's not for coverage specifically, there we are. Um, let me talk about Resident Evil 4 for a little bit because
Yeah.
uh, I didn't talk about it last week. We did not get a code for it, and so I didn't feel the urge to like get it out into a certain amount of time or whatnot. But I'm really loving Resident Evil 4. Now that's one of my favorite games of all time. I think it was a great, great, fantastic video game in its time. It aged pretty well, but in the last few years, next to some of the other remakes, it definitely needed one in order to
Mm-hmm.
stay relevant. And Capcom has been bar none fantastic as far as Resident Evil was concerned since Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake, Resident Evil Village. The games continue to get better and better, and 4 is no exception. They've done away with some of the more obnoxious things about it. They've made it even more accessible. And I use the word accessible in like a like a quality of life factor, not in a accessibility menu options. That's not something I studied enough
Yeah.
to give you that aspect, so I don't want to misspeak. But a lot of just really good quality of life things. The game looks the best the Resident Evil engine has ever looked, which is amazing. Um, there are a few points here and there that I've been annoyed as far as escorting Ashley, which is the president's daughter that you escort. But
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. They've changed a couple things to make it less campy, but still self-aware, which is cool.
Oh man, I've
Um,
heard some camp in there though.
oh yeah, there's some camp because it's Resident Evil, and you need some camp for it to not be Dead Space,
Mm,
right? Like Dead Space takes itself very seriously. Resident
really
Evil's
does.
always had a little tongue in cheek, yeah. And so for it just looks great. The puzzles are fantastic. I Go ahead.
I was like I was so full disclosure, I haven't played it. I probably won't play it, but I've been watching a buddy run through it, and it's
Hmm.
been so much fun like working out the puzzles. Like he deals with
Hmm.
all the shooty and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But when we get to a puzzle, dude, I'm like, oh, yeah, I bet if you look for this and make sure you note that that is different as well too, because if you shift these up, you're gonna have to, and just going through those puzzles, like, oh dude, that's so satisfying. I love those
Hmm.
puzzles.
They're really good and absurd that to think who designs them and whatnot, but they've done some really good things with puzzles. And they've changed whole areas of the game. Like there is a lake that is essentially a progression point in the original version
Yeah.
that now is a progression point, but then you can return to it and go travel over it, like actually in real time, travel across it to different parts to solve
Oh,
new
cool.
puzzles. Very cool.
Oh,
Very cool. I did notice, this is a PSA for anybody on Xbox specifically. I was frustrated a little bit with my aiming here and there, and I'm told, though I don't know that I could identify this as the problem. I'm told there's a dead zone problem on the Xbox versions that are not there on PlayStation, but that is hearsay. And it was on Twitter that I saw it. That people were mentioning it, and they like, I think Digital Foundry had said something akin to that. But I found going into the aiming accessibility options and having it snap to and hold on a character's head really improved my experience, because I don't mind aiming in Resident Evil, but the RE Engine's aiming is not like Call of Duty. And I like the snap to feature of a headshot. I think that's a really helpful thing. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Did you play around with the shooting gallery at all?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
fun.
love that shooting gallery. I want to play that shooting gallery just for the shooting gallery aspect of it. First off, it's all pirates, so I love that. But it looked like it was a lot of fun. It reminded me a lot of like the old Zelda Wind Waker shooting gallery that they have in there, where you got to go just, you're using your arrows and you're shooting down little baddies and whatnot, and not hitting bombs and whatnot. But it looked like it was a lot of fun, and the whole charm system for the briefcase thing surprised me. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and that was really a cool little change that they did as well. Did you mess around with that at all?
I've been messing around with it. Yeah, I've got a couple charms equipped, which give me little perks here and there. I don't remember that kind of stuff from the original game, and I was one that played it. I played the original game on GameCube and then on Wii, and then a little bit on 360, but not much.
Wow.
And it was at its best on Wii, but like, I replayed them so much on those systems that I never really like went into, like, I just in the last 2 months bought the Resident Evil 4 HD remaster thing they did on Xbox One.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I never really went back. But I played it like 5 and 6 times back in the day. But I never was one to try the unlocks that are always there, the Easter eggy type unlocks with Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I've never been that guy. There's a whole lot.
Like, I was really surprised, because my buddy he's a completionist, and he finishes like everything. Like, if it's got a Steam achievement, he has to get it done. He can't let it be undone. So watching him kind of play through Resident Evil 8 with some of the unlocks and stuff that Capcom does with these games is like, dude, it's mind bending, like the what you have to do. But yeah, it was really surprising to see the systems that they put in to really kind of revitalize, I think, it for a lot of fans. And hearing him talk about the game and the reverence that he has for it, he was surprised at some of the changes that they've made to the game, as far as like the pacing of when things happen. And it was cool to hear that from someone who reveres the game as one of the best games that Resident Evil's ever done. Hear him talk about how he was surprised with some of the things that they've done in the game. It was refreshing to hear, knowing that if I played it, I would have no understanding of like why it's different, but to know that it still feels like a fresh game for fans of the game, like that's like genius. That's like really thinking about what makes a Resident Evil game, breaking it down by the engineering of different moments, and still being able to do the same exact game that you did, but twist it up just enough that you're still surprising your audience, who should know what's coming.
Agreed. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think that's the big difference. Well, not maybe I don't know if that's a big difference, but it feels like that's the difference between like a Dead Space remake and Resident Evil. Is there's enough change that it's not quite the same game.
Yeah.
Versus Dead Space, which I feel like was the same game, but a purist could tell me, because I it's been too long for me to tell you, but there are moments that I'm like expecting that aren't happening, and that's been fun. That's cool. And I'm also playing it differently, because it's I'm 15, 20 years older than I was.
Yeah.
So I'm playing it differently, which is really
that makes
neat.
a difference too. A lot of game knowledge that you've earned over the years.
Yeah, no kidding. Let me just mention some smaller stories here, Logan. One that excited me: Sonic Origins, the collection of Sonic games.
Yeah,
that's getting an expansion pack coming out this summer, which will have 12 Sonic Game Gear titles, which is dope. It'll make Knuckles playable in Sonic CD and have Amy Rose as a character in the original games. This is for diehard Sonic fans, but cool. And I am in to try out some of those Game Gear games. Like that's a thing I'd never played, and I really went through my Sonic phase, which I loved thanks to Sonic Frontiers. And this is exactly what I want. Like last year, we had the year of Sonic. We had Origins, we had Frontiers, the show Sonic Boom, and Sonic 2 the movie were all out, and they were all good. Like each in their own lanes, they were all good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Sonic Origins Plus. I think that's cool.
Hey, and there's sorry, I gotta interject real quick. Nintendo, if you're listening, Mr. Doug Bowser, this is how you pay homage to your damn franchises instead of what you ignored with Zelda and the horrible job that you did with Mario. How about you pay a little reverence to those franchises the way Sega is doing with Sonic? Heck, they still in sorry, go ahead. I got a rant later, but
no, I'm with you. Nintendo, okay. You don't respect Star Fox, you don't respect Metroid. It makes me upset.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you gave us a good remake, but like I should have access to every single one of those games on one platform.
This might be a fun thing for Edward Varnell, but you remember how like when Nintendo released that Mario trilogy, the Sunshine, the 64, and the Odyssey, and
I bought it.
This is I did too, and you know why? Because they said that they were going to take it off of shelves on March 31st, and I think it is amazingly funny because the game's media said Mario's dying on March 31st, and guess what Sega did? They killed Sonic on March 31st this year. They released a game on Steam for free, which is a complete homage to Mario dying on March 31st after from what the media did. So Sonic came up with a visual novel. This is free on Steam. I haven't seen it on consoles.
This is real. Hold on. Because we're recording on April 1st.
We are recording on April.
He is not kidding.
No.
Just want to be very clear. I didn't want anybody to dismiss it. You're being serious.
Yes. I'm being 100% serious. All right. This is a huge play. This is a giant poke at Nintendo for releasing. I don't know if this is the case, but if they did this is like freaking 4D chess that they're playing here. They put out a visual novel. It's a whodunit. It's the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, where Amy Rose's birthday, and she's hosting a murder mystery party on the Mirage Express when Sonic the Hedgehog becomes the game's victim. Everyone is off to get to the bottom of things. However, something feels a bit off. Is this really an innocent game, or is it something more sinister afoot? Join the colorful cast of Sonic the Hedgehog series in an exciting new adventure. This is an actual game. You can download it for free on Steam, and it is a joke about how a year ago Nintendo killed Mario by taking the trilogy, the anniversary trilogy of 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey off shelves for reasons. They didn't even sell the digital version anymore. So I think it's hilarious that they did it. One, right before April Fool's Day. It's hilarious. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And two, that it's an actual game. It's an actual visual novel you can go play.
I'm taken aback by it because like when I saw the news, I wrote it off as an April Fool's joke, and then you're like, "No, I'm gonna look into this," and then you're like, "No, this is real." I was like, "What? That's crazy." That's cool.
I love it.
Little other things: Games of Gold, Outer Space Couch Edition, and Peaky Blinders Mastermind is out to everyone's acclaim, I'm sure. There are new core controllers, red and blue. It's the really nice reds and really nice blues that they had of the standard controllers. You can now get those in core Elite 2 versions. That's cool because what they're now doing is setting up. I see you, Logan. I have the blue one.
Yeah.
Too far away right now. But that's cool because I have a white Elite 2 core, so I could retire my Master Chief one, which is amazing. But now essentially what they're doing is saying, hey, you can buy an Elite controller and there it is. And then you can just get the component pack. And then now you can start your collection with Elite controllers, which is in no way to make money or take advantage. That's definitely just for fan services, which is great, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I will probably pick up one of these core controllers like when I get them on sale. Honestly, you know what I really want, though, is I really want the design labs to start expanding the range of finishes for the different things. Like, I want a translucent set. Like, I want to be able to pick up like translucent plastics. I want to pick up like a better metallics for different parts of the things. I want to be able to color my individual buttons instead of just like picking a set. Like, anyone can pick a set of buttons, and they've got like the different types. You know, if they got the colored versions or the not colored versions, but I actually want to customize like the buttons themselves. Like, give me the opportunity to change up the colors for each one. I hope that we get there, because that's the thing that I think is holding me back from buying one of them.
That's fair. I have a white one. I really like it, but I'm not a design lab person either. Like people often ask me like creative advice for like, how should I make this thing? I don't know. I hate when I don't have an answer, but my mind doesn't go to that type of creativity.
Yeah.
You know? All right. Well, one last thing. It looks like Xbox has discontinued its upgrade to Game Pass for $1 method, which would make sense. They got as many people in the door with that as they possibly could. They're going to need some new strategies. I think those new strategies are going to come in conjunction with Redfall, with Starfield, the marketing that includes Age of Empires and Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Starfield, and one other little game this year.
Call of Duty.
That makes sense. Yeah, you're right. I have so many questions about if that ABK deal goes through, what happens to Diablo. Not about exclusivity, but about like marketing. Because we already know there's going to be an Xbox version.
Yeah, there's Diablo, the bundle.
Like the
bundle. We didn't talk about the bundle at all, but yeah, they announced.
Well, what do you say? It's a bundle. It's just a bundle. Yeah, there's no like artsy fartsy stuff with it.
That's the disappointing part, right? Like, we all wanted a Lilith skinned Xbox Series X. Like, no one was kidding themselves when they announced an Xbox Series X for Diablo 4, and everyone was like, oh, it's gonna be Lilith, she's gonna be on the thing, and then you see it and it's like, no, it's just a bundle, and you're like, oh.
But see, would you have expected a bundle from an Activision Blizzard title? No, that was all Sony. So like, is this the first, like, this is the best they could do on short notice kind of thing? Does this have to do with any of that or not? You know, because Sony usually go ahead.
They have, I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean, it is definitely clear to me that they've got the marketing rights. Like, they're the ones that are going to be promoting Diablo 4. So we know that there should, if anything, I'm a little more disappointed that they did this bundle and not like a special edition controller, because I think that would have hit a lot better.
I bet you get a special edition controller. Yeah. I really do think you're going to get one by holiday.
Heard it here first.
I mean, I think it'll happen. I think there's a lot of stuff that coulda, woulda, shoulda, and is on hold. You know what I mean? And from every level, small stuff. I mean, KFC they locked it in. Nobody can mess with those KFC Diablo marketing deals. But everybody else, you know, I think there's some stuff that's just in limbo right now. But I mean, the fact that they even had the bundle to me was, I don't know if telling is the right word, because I don't mean like, they've acquired it, they just haven't said it. No, nothing like that. More like, normally Sony would snack up Activision stuff. They didn't. And we know that Sony has definitely agitated Activision Blizzard leadership. Is this a result of that, or is it not? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to make a story where there isn't one. I'm just curious. Like, is that a thing or not?
Knowing how much a piece of Bobby Kotick is, I would not be surprised if he got a little petty. Because I mean, that's the theory behind the whole Tencent thing, with Blizzard having to pull out all of their games from China. Right. So it wouldn't surprise me if Bobby Kotick, the piece of that he is, getting a little petty. Just saying.
Fair. Can't argue that. All right, buddy. I think that is a time to call it a lighter news week, but big news story with E3. If you want to do it that way. I want to point people to well, first I want to say hi to Mina Ferry, who, after last week when I said hello to the Keelhauled people and said, if anyone listens to XEP as well, Mina Ferry reached out and messaged me over on Discord, and I appreciated that. That made my day. I was like, oh, cool.
She's
because I love me some Keelhauled. So, hello,
Yeah,
Mina
I love.
Fair.
She's great. She's one of my favorite people in the Keelhaul Discord.
That's good to hear because she definitely made my day better. But I want to point people towards a couple upcoming XEP things. I will have an interview with the Sword Ship developers going up this Wednesday at the time of this recording. I'm interviewing I have a 5 a.m. call time with France or our developer team in France for a really cool narrative title called Road 96 Mile Zero. So it sounds like if you like oh my god, As Dusk Falls, is that the one that this past summer, like narrative style games, point and click, walking simulator, that kind of stuff. Interested in talking to that team, which is really cool. I've also got two more that I redacted but have laid out hints to, I guess you would say, over on Twitter, which is neat. And then on the next Creator Talk, which is our Patreon exclusive show, Lord Cog from the Iron Lords is going to be our next guest.
Oh, awesome. Love Cog.
Yeah, so that'll be Mr. Boomstick was on episode 1, Fame 2K episode 2, Lord Cog on episode 3, which is amazing. So, and I think TKO Asante is up on episode 4 once we get to there. So that's fun too. So that's what's coming up for me, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good lineup. That's some
excited.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. What's up with you?
Oh gosh. So pretty much just going to be doing normal Keelhaul stuff. This coming week, or this episode coming up is actually going to be an interview with Miles Dompierre, who is from Xbox Chatter Days. Also now IGN, formerly of Windows Gaming Central, Windows Central, who he still does a little work over there, but mostly he's been doing some really awesome stuff over at Xbox Chatter Days, and he's got his tier system where he ranks different franchises and stuff. But that's going to be him coming in to talk about Sea of Thieves and how or what could Sea of Thieves do to get bigger mainstream appeal. Because I feel like a lot of the games industry, especially the bigger outlets, tend to ignore Sea of Thieves when it comes to Xbox discussions. And I think that's a mistake on their part because of how good Sea of Thieves is and what it does. And I am biased on that, but I wanted to sit down and talk with him because he has a unique perspective that I don't get to address too often with the podcast, because we usually talk so much about like being fans of the series already. And I wanted to get a fan's perspective who isn't someone who plays it like every single week kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So it was really good conversation. It was really nice to kind of pick his brain and to get a better idea of like what's going on from his perspective as far as like how Sea of Thieves is, and hear like from someone that still really loves the game and has played a ton of it, what Sea of Thieves is doing well and could be doing better.
Miles is such good people. I'm anxious for that to go live because I've missed out on Chatter Days because we now record simultaneously. So I have to catch it on VOD. And as you know, life's been pretty rough, which we're coming out of. By the way, the Lohr household's really mending and healing, which is great. But I've missed a lot of content stuff that I enjoyed watching. So excited to check that. I'm anxious for that one because I love Miles. He's just genuinely good people, you know?
Yeah.
So
smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Well, there we go. I like it. Well, one last time, if you are looking to support XEP, please feel free to check out the Patreon if that's something you're interested in doing. $3 gets you into our Discord, and then we have shows for tiers 2 and 3 as well. But if you can't do any of that, rating us over on the iTunes, Spotify, clicking the like button over on YouTube, subscribing, all that stuff is always appreciated. It means the world, and we are grateful to you. You can find me on Twitter at InsipidGhost. And Captain Logun, we can find you on Twitter where, good sir?
At CAPT_LOGUN for the time being until Twitter implodes.
It's coming. Get to Discord quick, guys. Get to Discord quick. All right. That's it for us. Find the fun. Take care, everybody.